What are your top priorities for Washington this offseason? I could start because I know where I'm at. I am really excited about the prospect of David Blau as your offensive coordinator. I think he's super smart. I think he's locked in with Jaden. I think he's got a super creative mind. I think he works his ass off. I have no concerns about David Blau's long-term ability to do this job. Mm-hmm. I think he'll do it at a really high level. I am concerned, however, maybe concern's too strong, but the top priority to me for Washington right now, figure out what this is going to look like. Not having an offensive line coach is a big hole. That's usually a massive part of your run game. They usually set the protections and the rules and the protocols for your run game. I also don't know what's going to happen with the rest of that staff. David Rye, the tight ends coach, who also got an interview for the OC job, has been with Cliff for most of his career. If Cliff gets a head job, I would think Rye goes. If not, is he staying? You interviewed him for OC. Now he's still here, technically. What happens there? The same thing happened with Brian Johnson, the passing game coordinator who they interviewed for OC. He didn't get the job. Now he's still here. Is he staying? I think Anthony Lynn is a massive part of this staff. Anthony Lynn was the OC when Blau was in Detroit. I'm guessing those two have a very strong relationship. Are you keeping Lynn around as the run game coordinator, assistant head coach? Because I think you need some experience to go with Blau. I think keeping Lynn is imperative. And I think they hired Blau because he knows Cliff's system, but I don't think they want to run Cliff's system.
Yeah, I think you can run portions of Cliff's system without being so stuck in it how he was.
Totally. I think if you look at Blau, when he was in Detroit as a player, you had Anthony Lynn there. Ben Johnson was the tight ends coach. That's a different look. Blau also was in Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell's offense. That's a different look. Then in the NFL, he's with Kingsbury for a year. That's a different look, right? I love the thought of some combination of Cliff's offense, KOC's offense, Ben Johnson's offense. Yeah. Roll that all up. Like, put it together. I am very into that. But however, that takes a lot of work for a guy that's never done it.
It don't take as much as you think, because the guys that have the mindset of becoming coaches, those guys, as they go along, they start to build up stuff. And about the time where Blau is right now, all of a sudden, you have a game plan of what you believe an offense should be. Yours, which is probably pieces of all kind of people's stuff. Now it comes down to how do we name it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you do Cliff's and you want to keep his terminology, easy. But when you bring in a play that you want to do, you just use something that's close to and add a word to it.
Well, and you got to imagine for Blau to get this job, when he interviewed with DQ and AP, he presented something. There's no way he's like, yeah, I'm working on it, but it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I imagine he has something to at least prepare to implement. I think when we talk about McVay getting the job, we talk about O'Connell getting the job, rolling the dice with these younger guys. You had an offensive head coach that had a system in place that they are then implementing and taking forward. Because Blau is getting this job without the experience, and you have a defensive guy in charge, I think it's a big hill to climb. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm excited about the prospect of it all, but I'd like it to move fast.
Just like I said, well, the thing of it is, what's the day you think everything needs to be done before they move forward?
I don't know that I have I'm not going to set a date. I just think they need to. I think the top priority for me, prioritizing, is to get what this offensive system is and is going to look like and who's going to coach it settled.
I think at this point, when they made him the offensive coordinator, he has probably reached out to people already who he believes are going to be able to fit certain positions. And I'm sure most of those guys are on the staff right now. Like I remember when I coached the NFLPA All-Star game. I knew what I wanted to run. I reached out to Harbaugh. I reached out to LaCharles McDaniel, and I got a few of the things, and I implemented those two things into one. I had 3 weeks to figure it out, and then I had to go teach it to the guys within that week. So basically, it was 3 weeks before the game, so we had 3 weeks total. I got the stuff, made two into one. We went out and we ran our offense. Our special teams. I think a guy like David Rye, as you go along, not David Rye, it's Blau, as you go along, you are putting stuff in. Because as much as we don't think, or a lot of us thought, you're looking forward to that interview and you want to be able to present something.
Sure.
He has a form of an offense. And also, now I need an offensive line coach. That's very important. I think all this stuff, by the time Super Bowl rolls around, everything should be locked in.
I think that timeline works for me.
And then you have to just hit the ground running.
I'm just saying that's my top priority.
All right,
for this next 3 month period, let's get this thing tight.
But like what I try to impart this as much as I can. It's not as difficult to implement offenses and learn them, and defenses as well, as many people on the outside think. This is what people have been doing.
You've always said that for players.
I'm talking about
but for coaches to build it out?
The coaches have been building it their whole time. They don't wait until they get this offer to start building. This is something they've been doing along the way. Just like the players that play in one system and then go to the other system, they can tell you the similarities, the differences, and they can tell you how they work and how they intertwine. They don't wait till they get that job to start doing this. And as the coach, when I first thing I asked Deuce, we're going to try to get Deuce on tomorrow.
Yep.
I said, Deuce, remember David Blau? He's like, yeah. I said, what you thought about him? He said, man, that dude was always helping. Always doing extra stuff, always helping the coaches get things set up. So while he was playing, he was doing what coaches do. Sometimes guys don't get that job to start working and doing. But when you're the guy, this I always say, backup players normally make better coaches. Because those starting players are so focused on tomorrow, the next day, getting ready for this weekend. The backup player, hell, I'm not going to play, so I might be a coach. So let me learn the intricate details of this thing. So that's why I think it happens so much quicker for them.
I think a couple of the young offensive names we've heard, this dude, Berkovici, hopefully I'm saying that right, quarterback's coach in Carolina. Obviously, Bryce made a ton of progress. Bryce Young, I'm talking about. Berkovici was also on the Cardinals staff when Blau played out there in 2022. I'm guessing those two have a tight relationship. We've heard DJ Williams, quarterback's coach in Atlanta, worked with Penix, worked with Kirk. He was in the New Orleans organization prior to that. Like, I just want to see some of this offensive staffing. Like, honestly, B, I want them to get the I personally feel like getting the O-line coach settled is more imperative than the DC. Like, they're going to get the DC, and their odds are they're bringing in a veteran that has a system.